What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to talk about several different horror topics in this video here today. We'll be talking about the future of the Saw franchise at Blumhouse. We'll be talking about Scream 7, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Crystal Lake. So starting off here with the Saw franchise, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, all the reputable trades last week, a couple days ago at the end of the week, confirmed that Blumhouse did in fact secure the rights. And of course, we know Lionsgate is still in the mix when it comes to Saw and all things related to Saw. But the most important piece that I wanted to talk about is the piece related to James Wan and Leigh Whannell, who will help guide the future of the Saw franchise at Blumhouse. This is what James Wan had to say. He said, "Saw holds a special place in my heart. Coming back to this world with a fresh perspective is both thrilling and deeply personal. For me, this will mark a significant creative return to the Saw franchise for the first time since the early days, and I'm very much looking forward to embracing the original spirit whilst pushing the legacy forward in bold, unexpected ways." Now, it's that part he says about pushing the legacy forward in bold, unexpected ways that takes me back to a comment or a tweet that viewer Anon put out saying that James Wan wants to basically get away from John Kramer. So, if that is still the case, a comment like this does make me think that if we get anything John Kramer going forward when it comes to this next Saw project, that's going to be the last we see of Tobin Bell as John Kramer, and we're going to get something completely new and original set in the same universe. Or if it's not, just going to start clean, ignoring all of these movies, and it's going to be a fresh slate for the Saw franchise. There's no need to remake it or anything like that. I've always stated, just concoct somebody who is as compelling as a John Kramer. Same vein, not the same exact motivations, but very compelling and engaging as an antagonist as John Kramer was. Have to find somebody, obviously. Well, you don't have to find somebody like Tobin Bell. There's only one Tobin Bell. Find somebody who can capture the attention of an audience the way Tobin Bell did, and you're off to the races. As long as everything is written well, I am ready for Saw to exist without John Kramer. And I think the general public is in fact ready for Saw to exist without John Kramer. Using the failures of Spiral and some of the other recent films, okay, those are one-off failures. That doesn't mean you cannot try it again. You have to get away from John Kramer, but I am looking forward to Leigh Whannell and James Wan being back at the center of this. I'm not thinking they're going to be a writing and directing duo on any of these projects for now. But now let's talk about Scream 7. Kevin Williamson has acknowledged in a conversation with the New York Post that he knows Scream can exist without his original characters. He said, "The thing about Scream is it can live in any form, and you can return to a character like Sidney and Gale and tell that story, and then the next one can be about someone else. I really like the idea that Scream has evolved into a franchise that can expand in those ways." That's a very interesting comment, considering that there are a lot of individuals who have deluded themselves into thinking that this franchise cannot exist without those legacy characters. I don't know where a thought process like that comes from when you have to start engaging with reality. The reality is most people, when they associate Scream with something, it's going to be Ghostface. Us, the diehards who study this franchise inside and out, we're also associating that with Sidney Prescott. Many of us, myself included, might be associating Sidney Prescott first and foremost ahead of Ghostface. But your general audience, they're doing the same thing with Scream that they do with Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. First thing that comes to mind is Ghostface. Like Michael Myers comes to mind for Halloween, Freddy Krueger for Nightmare on Elm Street. They don't care about Sidney Prescott like that. They don't care about Sam Carpenter like that. And the studios don't care that you're upset that they're going to one day get away from Sidney Prescott. They don't care. All they care about is money. And as long as there's an audience for horror, which there's a big audience for horror, and these movies are produced for cheap, Scream will one day exist without Sidney Prescott. That does not mean that the movies are going to be good. That's not what anyone is saying. But this idea that it cannot exist without all of these characters connected to the legacy of Maureen Prescott, that's an absurd thought process. Now, he did also say this to IndieWire about breathing new life into the franchise with Scream 7. He said, "I can't really talk about it without giving stuff away, but I did go down a road that has never been gone down before, I think." Mentions he paused. And he said, "No, that's not true. Never mind. That's a lie. It's Scream 7. I did everything I could to make it feel new and fresh, so we'll see what happens." I mean, a comment like that makes me think that we are going to be treading on familiar territory with a revenge angle, somebody connected to the past who's a relative, who's back, who wants revenge, and that's going to be Leslie Mocker. At this point with the Scream franchise, if that's what you end up doing, yes, it's a tired thing, but I will always do what I've been doing when it comes to these movies. I will just engage with it based on how well you do it. I won't knock you for doing it again. It's always going to come down to how well did you do it? Was I gripped? Was it well written? I can get tired of it all day long. I need to engage with how you did it. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, I'm at least going to try to engage with how you did it. That's what his comment right there makes me think we're going to get in Scream 7. We're going to get a lot of things that feel fresh, but it's going to end up in the same area that we are familiar with when it comes to revenge. Somebody connected to the Stab franchise, things like that. It's just the bread and butter of this franchise right now. So let's talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is what James Marsters had to say about where he thinks Spike is today. He did start off, this was at a convention. He was asked about the Buffy pilot that we know is supposed to be shooting soon. They've already casted somebody. And he was asked about that show or that pilot, pretty much summing it up by saying he's been asked to keep his mouth shut. And then they went on to address, well, where does he think Spike is now? And I wanted to address this because this, of course, could lend itself to Spike appearing in the revival show. He said, I think Spike is probably a demon slayer now. He's got a soul. He's probably traveling town to town looking for evil because he does like to kill. He's probably avoiding Drusilla very much because he would never kill you because Juliet Landau was also there. He said, I could see Spike trying to do good in the world, very aware that A, he couldn't kill you, and B, he couldn't watch you do what you do, which is killing innocent people. He knows that if Drew is in Atlanta, then he's not in Atlanta. Now, the first part, obviously, that I want to talk about is his acknowledgement that Spike is probably a demon slayer now. So Spike is just doing what he's been doing. The thing that got him beat up during the later halves of that show when he was a traitor to the demon community in Sunnydale. At one point, he got beat up and thrown out of a bar. And then I think at another point, there was a demon who was in the presence of Spike and said, oh, he kills our kind. That's kind of like what he became. So he's embraced that and probably turned it into a brand right now. That's believable, and that's what I see Spike doing. At one point, Spike was supposed to have a show, wasn't he? And that's what I imagine that show would have been like. So nothing really too surprising, and that's how I would reintroduce Spike in the show if you're able to give him a convincing enough de-aged look. Not that you should go down that route. That's just what my selfish preference would be. The actual logical preference that's probably safe is to come up with some sort of glamour spell that explains why he's older and go about it that way. That's probably the safest bet, just to explain why he looks older. I could live with that, or he's Shanshu'd. Go down the Shanshu route. Or what do you think Spike is up to all these years later, and what would you like to see from Spike if he were to appear in the Buffy revival? Now, Brad Caleb Kane posted on Instagram that Crystal Lake is filming. He posted this on Friday. Many of you did point out it's ironic they didn't post this last week. Very big missed opportunity. But if they didn't start filming until this past Friday, then of course they'd have to share this past Friday. So this is exciting. And it's just like a finally, because after so many years of no content, fingers crossed nothing happens and this isn't canceled mid-filming. But after so many years of no on-screen content, a video game that was really good, it's short-lived. But after that short-lived video game, not having any new content for so many years on screen, this is just like a finally. Finally, everyone's favorite mama's boy is going to be back in some capacity. Even though this show likely isn't going to be digging too deep into Jason content of any form, even if it's about his mother, Pamela Voorhees, we'll take anything we can get. And like I stated before, the only thing this show should really try to do is put some respect on Pamela's name. Because when it comes to Pamela, she is often overlooked when it comes to the legacy of Jason Voorhees. She is a very pivotal figure in this franchise. And now we're going to get a chance to put a stamp on that, so people can stop underselling her value. So let me know what you guys think about all these updates down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notification, and this video in the description. I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course. Let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.